Alright, so for this project we are looking at making a wooden dice, a nice little introduction to Corel Draw, bit of editing, manipulating, getting files and their line width ready for the laser, and then as a class activity we'll look at cutting with the laser. So this is a great little website called boxes.py, so the web link is just there and it allows you to look at a whole range of pre-created boxes that you can adjust, put in some information and go from there. So one of the first ones I like to look at here is 2 across, 2 down, and that is the closed box. So you can adjust the size of the fingers and a whole range of things there, but to get us started, the preset size of this is 100 by 100 by 100. It's a bit big for a dice. So I'm going to look at going 40, 40, 40, 40. 40 in X, 40 in Y, and 40 in height, length, width, and breadth. So now the material that we're using is 3mm. The format is going to be an SVG, a scalable vector graphics. That's great for what we need. And we're looking at the rest of this here. Burn rate talks about how much material it's removing as it cuts, so that's all right. We know that 0.1 will work for our laser. So to get us started using this website, I would just put that information in, say generate, and it shows us what we can see here. So now I also selected download, you would have saw, so it's thrown it straight into, when you click download, straight into your downloads folder. Now we go to Corel Draw, which you should already have downloaded, and you should have already put your defaults into, so it should be set to the size of the laser bed that we're using. Now, we don't want to just open things in Corel, we want to import them. So we go on File, Import, selecting the file we want to import. Now, you need to just click and let go. Do not click and drag because then it makes the file far bigger than it should be. We want to go File and it ruins all the fingers. Close box, import, and just one click. So that's the size the file should be if we're on a sheet that's 1000 by 600, which is the size of our laser. We're now going to zoom into this, and what we need to do to cut on the laser, we need our drawing to be RGB red and a hairline in thickness. So if I highlight all of this, actually to start with, we want to look at deleting some words. Now I can't delete words because it's currently grouped as one singular image. So have your object selected, click on object, go to group and say ungroup all. You might go back up into object, find the word lock and then select unlock all. So the image before that was actually locked. So now we can look at removing these words. Control Z. So just select the words. Sometimes you can, it's being a bit tricky, highlight just the words that you want, the parts that you want to delete. Now you'll see how that didn't let me delete that. We'll have a look at that in a moment. So we're going to click on the word, click on that. Now you'll see here, it's still grouped together. So go object, group, back to ungroup all, select the word wall. And so now we have all of the pieces to our cube. However, it is black. The laser does not like that. So we're going to double click down here and we're going to change this to RGB 25500. So what I did there was I grabbed that little site, moved it up to that corner, and it gave the number we're after. The thickness has to be hairline. Then we say OK. Now, there are 2 of the same size, 2 of the same sides, and 2 of the same sides. What we want to do now is set this up in the orientation of a dice. So that's going to be my middle, if you will, and we want to look at working out where we're going to put the rest of our pieces. So this is the same size. That's going to be on the opposite face. And now this is the same as that part there. So that's going to be that next section down, which means this will be the left, and now this will be the right. So you can make that net of a cube, and we want to look at putting the numbers of our dice on. We're going to engrave that on, and when it comes to a dice, the opposite faces will always equal to 7. So at the moment, I'm a bit off screen, so we're going to grab the text, and we can look at drawing ourselves a nice big box. I'm going to change my font to 72, and that's going to be number 1. Now it's currently not centered, so we'll change that to centered. And what I'd also like to do, to engrave when it's black will actually take us quite a lot of time. So what we will look at doing is a vector engrave. So I actually want to turn the fill color, which was a little paint bucket, to white. And then I want to get the pen stroke and change that to 0, 0 to 55. And say, okay, okay. So there's my number 1. Now, I would do that to the very first one, and then I'm going to go Control C for copy and Control V. And I'm going to place one of these in the center. I won't be too fussed about it being in the center because I will probably still need to adjust it. Now I do not want a dice of all number 1s, so I'm lining this up. I might zoom in. It's always easiest to do this with a mouse on the trackpad. It does get a bit difficult. So that's going to be my number 1. The opposite side will be all the way down here. Okay, now double click on this, which makes that my 6. So I've got my 1 and 6. These two corners here could be 3, and the opposite of 3 will be 4, because that then equals 7. And that's going to leave me with 5 and 2. So once I have now designed all of this, when I laser cut this, I'm going to nest possibly 10 or so students onto the same one. So to make sure you get the right one back, I'll get you to put your initials in. So I'm just typing that in size 12 font. You can look at changing the font if you like. If I wanted to change the font, I'd highlight it across the top here. I could then change Arial to a different text. So I might go for that option just there. Oh, now I'm going to select with the pick tool, select my initials, and I want to put Control C, Control V, my initials in the bottom corner of every single one. Just pasted that one, went up here. And I'll put that one just into that corner there. So once you've done that, we now need to select each one and go Control G, which is grouping, or you can select, go up to Object and then say Group and Group. If you wanted to adjust, so looking at that there, the number 4 might be out a little bit. That's fine for the moment. Control G. Number 2, Control G. Oop. Control G. And then that very center one, Control G. Now, before we're done, we want to look at moving number 3 under there, the number 4 under there. We can highlight it all, press the letter C, and that aligns it nice and straight. What we will do is put a whole range of these next to each other and then laser cut them. So we're going to go File, Export. We're going to call this Dice AP as a PDF. Stick it in your Downloads folder. Export. That's fine for me. I'm replacing because I've already done this. And it'll be the current page. You can even say, with now that I've only got that selected, it can be Selection. We say OK. Thinking about it, we're now done. And then in class, we'll look at collating them all, putting them on one document, and then laser cutting it.